Welcome to Nomad Media, Automotive Tales, where we tell vehicle stories, a little bit of history, and some unique and personal experiences. Let's get right into it. So today we have Jason Falkner and his 1972 Plymouth Valiant. Jason, tell us a little bit of history about your car.
Well, the car actually came with a 318. We bought this car about 30 years ago. Not quite 30 years, been 26 actually. My brother first owned it before me, and me and him done some switch swapping around, and I ended up with a car.
So what did y'all swap around for that?
Well, the first swap we done was for a 72 Charger for the 72 Valiant.
Okay.
And we did that and rocked on a few years, and he needed a lawnmower. So I traded him the Valiant for a riding lawnmower. And after that, I'd already put a 440 in it, and that's what's in it today. It's the same motor I built 26 years ago.
So it's got a 440 in it now. Like what convinced you to go to the 440? You just wanted one, or?
Well, I built the engine for my 72 Charger to start with, and I put a big cam in it, and the brakes wouldn't work on the Charger. So I said, well, the Valiant has manual brakes, it won't bother it. So I pulled the 440 out and I stuck it in this car, and that's where we are today. It didn't have enough vacuum to pull the brake booster.
Oh, okay.
So I had to put it in this car because it's got manual brakes.
Yeah.
And now I know better. I didn't have to do all that.
Ways to get around it, but that's living and learning, though. You know, back in the day, it's not as easy as it is nowadays to just Google whatever
Yeah.
you need to know. You had to look it up online, or not online, but in books, or know
Yeah.
somebody that knows what they're doing.
Yeah, that's all we had back then was books.
Yep. So that's how you ended up with the car. You got any interesting stories that, like, what are some things you've done with this car since you've owned it? How about that?
Trying to think. Well, when my brother had it, he actually there was a dead cow head in the road. He actually run over a cow and messed the front end up on it a little bit, and we had to rebuild the front end because of that and got all that straightened out. And I've took it to the drag strip a few times when I first got it going just to play with it, and that's about the sum of that. I haven't took it on the drag strip in probably 25 years.
Why not?
I don't want to tear it up. To me, it's worth more like it is than what it would be if I destroyed it. And I didn't want to put a cage in it and all that kind of stuff. To keep
Yeah.
driving it on the strip, I would have.
So is on the strips, is it like mandatory cage these days?
Yeah, if you get down into like a 10-second, you have to have a cage, and it runs pretty close to that. And I knew if I kept doing stuff to it, it would be in the 10-second and a quarter. So I didn't want to.
I tell you, 10 seconds is that's a pretty fast time. A lot of people don't know how fast really 10 seconds is, and looking at your car, it's not the first thing I would think. But that's good in a lot of cases. But you know, what can you? So elaborate on this cow story. You hit a cow. Like how do you walk away from that?
Well, somebody had already hit the cow when my brother hit it. It was laying in the road, and it was black. He couldn't see the cow, and he hit it with the passenger side front tire,
Okay.
and it laid the front tire over pretty bad. He managed to make it home, but as far as he could go with it, I had to fix the front end of the car for him.
Mm-hmm.
And then basically that's that. We fixed it and kept driving, you know.
So how often does it smell like hamburgers while you're driving?
So far it hadn't yet. It does smell like a little burnt oil from here to there.
I mean, that's interesting there. Like, there's also not many cars nowadays that you can hit a cow and it actually survives.
Yeah, surprisingly, it didn't even bend it. It just knocked the tire a little crooked, and that's
Right.
all it done.
So when you say you rebuilt the front end, so tie rods, ball joints,
Yeah, everything.
A-arms?
Upper control arm bushings, lower control arm bushings, tie rod ends, pitman arm, idle arm, torsion bars, all that stuff, you know.
You said you own this car for 20 years now too. During all that trading, like that you did, like how'd you end up back with this car, like in keeping it? Like, is it like what makes this car like what you wanted to keep? Because I mean, a '72 Charger, a lot of people would argue is a more desirable car, but I mean, it's to each their own. But what made you want to settle on the '72 Valiant?
Well, I like the shape of the car. It was very similar to a Ford Fairlane and to a Chevy 2 Nova.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody asks me questions about what is it. Most time they think it's a Dart, but it's actually not a Dart, it's a Valiant. And I just like the body style, the body lines. And I was going to paint it at one time, and about 3 years ago, a bunch of guys told me I'd patina that car. That's what I'd do. I wouldn't spend the money of painting it. So I went home, took a DA sander, and sanded a primer off the front of it, sprayed a clear coat on it, and I liked it. So that's where it's at now. It's sitting here patinaed instead of finished. And I've also redone the interior. Well, not all of it. I've still got something to do. I put a new headliner in it and new carpet, new door panels, dash. I still got to do the seats. But so far, so good. It's coming along slowly, but it's coming.
So is this a car that you would guess that you're probably going to have forever, or is this one that you is a part-time car?
I don't see me ever getting rid of it. I plan on probably handing it down to one of my kids. And talking about the '72 Charger, I also still have it. It was my first car, and I'll keep it forever. And then one day I'm gonna restore it. But right now I'm working on this, and I'll get this one done, and then I'll move on to it.
Well, before we wrap up here, with that being said about you wanting your kids to have this car, what would you want them to know, like in terms of if they ever got that itch to sell it or anything, like understanding why this is a special car to you? What would you want them to know in that regard?
Well, it's a Mopar. You don't get rid of a Mopar.
And there you have it, folks. Jason, I want to thank you for giving me some time today to talk about your car. It's a great looking car. The patina is great. Like whoever told you that, they definitely didn't steer you wrong. It is a eye catcher going on the road. So hey, thanks for giving me some time to talk today, man.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
My pleasure.
that's Jason Falkner, '72 Plymouth Valiant. It's a great car and everything. Jason, would you like to say anything to the audience?
Yeah, encourage your kids to get involved in old cars. It could be a great thing. Nothing else, it could be a father-son project. I encourage everybody to work on cars.
And those are some wonderful words to live by right there. And I back every word he just said. Thanks for coming once again, man. And we'll see you in the next one. Peace.
I'll see you at the next car show, okay?
Thanks for watching. Be sure you like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.